Hello everyone, it is season 9 of ALR Gold, and of course we got another season review then at Christmas time as well. This time they're going to be released here tonight on Christmas Eve, which I cannot wait for. We are here in Bahrain then. Of course Bahrain has been the starter of the season for the past couple of years now, hasn't it? I do prefer Australia myself, but that's because I'm quite an old, very much an old school man. I'm very old actually, I've got a bit of grey hair. Alex, of course, the usual lot then is talking about these season reviews, and going into season 9, I had an inkling it was going to be Troy, Percy, and Boxtel fighting for the championship. And what was you expecting going into this season 9 of ALR?
Firstly, I was just hoping for the best for myself, just to make sure that I could finish the races, especially compared to some of these guys on the grid. They're absolutely incredible. And well, firstly, happy Christmas Eve, everybody, unless it's not Christmas Eve when you're watching this, in which case, happy Christmas Eve for next Christmas. No, I was expecting those three definitely to be challenging, but if you had to say pick a number, pick a name that was going to be up there, you could have picked quite a handful, I think. So yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic to have everybody on the gold grid.
It has indeed. In the first couple of races, I think that it was one of the best opening couple of races in ALR. Of course, we had custom cars, unfortunately, because as usual, we do have a couple of gremlins to start off at the start of the game, don't we? Which is unfortunate because I think wasn't it something to do with the performance, Alex, where the F1 2023 cars was not equal? Is that correct?
Yeah, the equal cars were not equal, basically. So that was the reason for the multiplayer cars. Yeah.
I must say, I did grumble a bit there, but there you go. But I have to get my own way, you see. But anyway, back onto the positives then, and going into this race here in Bahrain, it was cool. It was very cool indeed. There was not much going on in terms of technical regs changing and things like that. I thought that this season was going to be very similar to F1 2022 potentially, and that's why I've done a very bold claim of saying Troy, Boxtel, and Percy being the ones up there, of course, spoiler alert. But what did you think coming into this season, Alex? And of course, from an untrained man like myself, I was thinking it's going to be the same as last season. Was you thinking the same?
I didn't think so. I think it was going to be a bit different just because of the ground effect and basically the extra sort of the lesser downforce, sorry, you can have on these cars. Handling wise, it's a lot different to the last game, so there's a lot more people that might be sort of challenging or upgrading their skill level, put it that way, to make themselves a bit more faster and actually make it much more competitive in gold as well, which we have seen throughout the season as well, and we'll see more in the review as well. So no, I think there was definitely a lot of changes that came with the new handling model and obviously the the new handling model and as we've got, I can remember that happening from the first race. Sorry, there's a lot of changes from the handling model, which I think there were some people sort of adapting, especially in the first races of the season, like Bahrain as well. Throughout all the divisions, there was a lot of people adapting to the new sort of feel for the car, I suppose you could say.
That's very interesting, actually, because if you look at the season as a whole, I do think that we have a complete change of the guard going from one extreme to another in ALR. Like the first half of the season, I think is completely different to the second half of the season, and it feels like the F1 2013, goodness gracious me, where there was a fundamental change then, which really turned that championship on its head. And I feel that it was similar with gold as well, which was very cool stuff to see. I must say, goodness me, I've said cool twice now. Good gosh. Of course, we did have a glitch around this time, didn't we? Where the safety car got stuck staying out, which I must say, I think Sam B. Green would have loved to have the safety car stay out for the rest of the season, rest of the session, Alex. But how difficult was it then to have like two races split up into two halves here? How did you judge this then in terms of tacticals? Nuss.
Yeah, well, it was a bit all over the place, as I think you could tell really from the session as well, commentating on it when you were doing that. Unfortunately, like I said, it was just a technical well, as you said earlier as well, it's down to the technical issues with the game just coming out as well. So it was a bit new to everybody, and I think Codemasters hadn't got it right at that point. Thankfully, they sort of fixed that. It seems to be fixed anyway for now. But yeah, unfortunately, it was unfortunately, yeah, it was just difficulties of the opening phase of the first few weeks of the game, I think. But no, it was in terms of adapting, you just have to get your head down and get on with it. Really, there's nothing else you can do if you want to get some points. So yeah, it was just a question of just well having a shout in the party chat and then just getting on with it.
Well, I must admit, I was absolutely confused at first. And I generally thought we was going to have all the rest of the laps behind the safety car. Of course, we weren't. Then Farfus already on the pole said, and was already getting people out of the session before I even realised what was going on. To be honest, which is nothing unusual there. We did see a collision between Troy and Boxed and those three, including of course Percy as well. Those three seem to have been tied to each other over last season. And when you send that into the first season, of course, I know you was racing in this one, but when you send this in the first round, then what do you think? Oh, yeah, so I'm going to get some points here if the top three keeps clashing with each other.
Well, I was hoping for all 19 drivers to have to clash together, to be honest, to be able to get some good points. But no, I think I think it's just the challenges of being at the most the elite of the grid, really. Right at the top, they're going to be fighting for, they expected to be fighting for the big points every race, really, aren't they? So and that's where obviously tensions get a bit higher. I suppose there's more on the line, isn't there? So yeah, I think that's maybe what's been the root of all of the issues. But that was mainly from last season. Actually, I know it happened in this opening race, but I think throughout the season it sort of the respect was there anyway, and it sort of calmed down. I think during the rest of the season.
Which is a shame for me. I love a bit of controversy. Controversy creates cash, doesn't it? But I do admit, actually, it's very sinister, but I did enjoy it when they was tangling together. But there you go. Sometimes the drivers are too friendly, in my opinion. But that's because I used to watch F1 back in '95 when they was, we clash with each other every time, especially Schumacher and Hill. If anyone's old enough to remember that, as we got the two Haas drivers then of Liam Yeh and Sam B. Green. Then we have got 4 new winners in this season, Alex. As we're on lap 13 out of 14 here, we had 3 or 4 new winners over the course of the season in gold. I think that is the most new winners we have had in a very long time. I think I did the tally, and it was like season 5 or 6 was the last time we had so many new winners. But Alex, what did you think that was? What happened there then? Was it just drivers improving? And as you mentioned earlier on, then, or were you quite surprised by some of the winners this season in gold?
Yeah, I think there was some surprising results, but I think that was down to just the drivers in question at the time. I remember Equaz's win in Canada, for example. Sam B. Green's win in Japan, wasn't it, as well? So no, it's just down to their the skill, and obviously you need a bit of luck on the day as well. But no, I think it's just it's been incredible this season, and really good to see. Like I said, new winners, new faces on top of the podium.
Very good memory. I had to look at that actually on the spreadsheet I've got in front of me because I was like, where did Sam B. Green win? Goodness gracious me. But it was really nice to see actually. Toy Coy now potentially one of the new members, which we'll talk about him a bit later on. But Toy Coy now, another driver who I'm betting my bottom dollar along with Keza, who actually saved the AlphaTauri team. We'll talk about that later on. But those 2 drivers, I'm betting my bottom dollar they're going to win next season. They're going to be cursing me this time in 6 months' time, aren't they? Because I've said that. Also. We also had a new winner in Indigo as well, who Indigo showed some impressive speed then, and it was certainly in the sprint events. Alex, we had 6 sprint events this season in ALR. I must admit, I'm not a fan of the sprint events, but what I did like is it certainly mixed up the action, and it did cause a lot more action, a lot more tears as well. But what did you make of this sprint set? Of course, the first one we had was Azerbaijan, I think, this year.
Well, I like the one in Azerbaijan. That was because I like the circuit. But no, I'm not a fan overall of the sprint format, same as yourself, really. But like I said, it did lend itself to lended itself to more interesting races as well. So obviously, with the sprint format, it is literally just race to the finish as quickly as you can, sort of thing, which isn't really the same sometimes in the feature races in the main Grand Prix. So I think it has added a bit more of an element of a battle, I suppose you could say. But overall, I think it's not something that's not something that's adding much for Formula One, and don't think it's adding much for league racing overall, to be honest myself.
No, I do agree with you on that one. We don't agree about a lot of things, Alex, I must say, but at least we do agree on the sprint races, which is the most important thing in my opinion. I think Farf actually likes the sprint races, doesn't he? And I'm not sure if Smithy just sits on the fence on that one, because our other two amazing admins as well. As we're just watching the Spanish Grand Prix, and I'm horrified to hear about us racing in, well, not us personally, we might be racing there, you never know, in about 4 years' time in Madrid. But I love the fact we've gone back to the old school circuit, and it feels much more. Doesn't it feel much more flowing, Alex? With this, they've got rid of that Mickey Mouse chicane. Now it's just a straight blast from turn 12 all the way up to turn 1. And I must say, you certainly need some cojones, don't you, to go through there flat out. Then, what did you make of the changes to the Spanish Grand Prix? I loved it personally.
Yeah, I think the flow of the circuit. Oh dear, blimey, that Williams is flying. Sorry, no, the flow of the circuit is massively improved now with that removal of the chicane. Really, it really just didn't add anything to Sector 3, really, in my opinion. And it's like I said, it's a lot of a faster lap now, obviously, as well, as with all the circuit changes throughout all the season as well. But particularly around Spain, I think it's actually it's increased the sort of potential for overtakes down this straight with the sort of speed that you're carrying through the last couple of turns. So it's I think it's really helped in terms of adding a bit more to the overall race. In terms of taking out those two corners pretty much, so it's helped quite a lot.
It has indeed. One thing I was not keen on was the Australian changes, but I do enjoy the Spanish changes. We have gone back a bit old school here. As you can see, we've got an incredible battle between the two Mercedes and the McLaren here. It looked like Troy was a bit fast at the time, Alex. Remember, this is only round 7 of the World Championship. But do you think team orders should have come into play here with Milan letting Troy through, do you think? Well, before we get to that, this was a horror show for Troy, the world champion. He did a farfare and crashed into the pit lane. Unfortunately, there was a bump there, wasn't there, which miraculously appeared, I think, overnight or something like that. I remember the driver saying. Talk about that. Talk about the pit entry here. Then, how difficult was it to get in the pit with that random bump that just came out of nowhere?
Yeah, it was a bit challenging because you couldn't really tell where it was, obviously on the track. On the pit entry, and you just had to hope and pray that you got it right, and the game just let you go in the pits. Unfortunately, like I said, if you hit it going at the speed you were going at, it will either put you into the pit wall, like literally into the wall that's on the splitting the pit entry from the track, or it just sent you back over to onto the gravel on the outside of the final turn. So. It was a bit unfortunate that, but I think there was actually a notice as well that, it was noticed before the race actually that would to keep an eye out for that, obviously, but they actually did patch it and then they moved the bump. So they moved the bump to basically the final turn, and it didn't really make any difference because when you went around the final corner instead, you basically went over that bump. As a beautiful overtake there by somebody in the Alpine, it was a bit of an odd one that. A bit of an odd one that, but yeah, I think again it was similar to what we just said about Bahrain as well with the technical glitches at the beginning. It was just something that needed to be sorted quickly, and I think it has actually been properly sorted now as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and my point of view is it's quite harsh, to be fair, but I'm quite harsh on these drivers. But I would say you've got to drive the track that's been given, really. It was just unfortunate timing, to be honest. But that was a massive blow for Troy because that was his second DNF in the opening 7 races. Then we was talking about team tactics earlier on this race, Alex, and we got oh my goodness me, going down to turn 1. I was toying with the idea that Milan should have let Troy through because he looked quicker than 2 Mercedes then. Or did you think that was just the DRS just keeping everyone in play? Was I wrong on that front?
Like I said, down to the team orders is literally down to the 2 drivers. Obviously, sometimes they're not in the chat together or whatever it is. So like I said, it's sometimes difficult to communicate that, obviously, without any sort of voice comms. But no, I think it all depends on the drivers themselves and what what they think is the best course for both their races as well. But I was always if her Marky was around me when he was in the when we were in the Alpine last season, I was making sure I was letting him through, just because I didn't want to be holding him up. So there we go.
And you gave him a lovely toe as well, if I remember. It was Monza. There was another toe as well somewhere. Oh, goodness me. We've seen a bit of tactics here as well. I talked about the DRS just a minute ago. Boxtel seemed to let Milan through here, and I think that might have been a costly error from Boxtel's point of view. I reckon he threw away a win there. I know he would have had DRS down the back straight, down the start-finish straight, which would have helped Milan through. But do you think that he overplayed his hand there, Boxtel?
I'm not sure exactly on this one, but I have seen obviously throughout in this season of Gold and other seasons as well throughout the divisions that there's a lot of DRS tactics, and I think it's come into play a bit more in this game this season just because of the effect of the DRS. Now it's more powerful, I think, on this iteration than it was on the previous 22. So. Yeah, so I think it's a lot more beneficial to make sure that you even just lose a bit of time before you get to the DRS detection point.
This is why I don't race, you see. I haven't got the brain capacity to even think about any of that. I'm just trying to get from A to B as quickly as possible. I think I already said in some of the streams I struggle to get out of the pit lane, especially if it's an anti-clockwise circuit. Just going down the rest of the results then. And after the Spanish Grand Prix, I did feel that there was a change in flow in the World Championship as we go on to the home of British Motorsport and the British Grand Prix. But you notice there, Percy was spun off it. Well, I shouldn't say that really, should I? Percy was involved in an incident down into turn 1 in Spain with the two Mercedes M, but Percy came back through the field and he finished third in the end. No disrespect to Percy last year, but I do feel that if it happened to Percy last year, he wouldn't have gotten the points. I think he would have had issues, damage, or maybe just got low points there, but he returned back to the podium and got those valuable 15 points then. We have seen that up and down the field actually over this season as well. I'm harping on about how the difference is between 2022 and 2023, but I have noticed that a lot of drivers really have, I'm not sure if it's psyche or whatnot, but a lot of drivers seem to have able to hold their cool when things get a bit heated on this game. Oh goodness me, it's got a bit heated in turn 1 already. I do love it a bit. So you can tell who does the highlights, can't you? It seems that drivers did not get as heated as what they usually did, especially Percy. And we'll also see in bronze as well with TK as well also recovering. Would you agree with that statement, Alex, or am I just talking absolute balderdash?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think, like I said, it did cost last season. It did. I think the temperament and the concentration as well. It can obviously impact your race. So obviously, if you're driving angry and not driving in focus, put it that way, then it costs you time, it costs you positions, and it costs you pace as well. But I think a lot of drivers, especially like you said with Percy as well, this season, he's got the focus there when he gets into the race, and even if something does go wrong, then he just has the determination, he has the concentration to just get up and go after whatever points he can get, because that's what you need is the points, and that's what gets the prizes. So.
You certainly do, and it's the consistency as well. Percy had, I think, 6 more podiums than anyone else, which I think it was Troy and Boxtel who had 9 podiums apiece. That certainly, I think, was one of the major reasons for him winning the title, apart from the fact he's ridiculously fast as well, Percy was. But that consistency is absolutely mega. We've got Troy coming into the pits now. One of the longest pit lanes of the season in terms of being on the pit limits there. And it does seem, I don't want to be disrespectful to the British Grand Prix, I always get booed out of the commentary box when I say this, but it does seem that if there's no safety cards, then it's very much a straightforward one stopper in this one. Do you think that makes the race a bit boring here in Silverstone?
No, I think we've seen that in other circuits as well. It's not Silverstone specific. I think it just makes it a bit more focused on literally your pace and getting the strategy, getting the pit lap right as well, and making sure that you don't make any mistakes when you do enter the pits for that one occasion. So as we've seen a few penalties and that sort of thing for pit lane infringements or whatever you want to call it over the seasons as well. But no, I think it doesn't impact overall the race. It's literally you've got to race the best strategy to get yourself from the start line to the finish line basically as quickly as possible. So yeah, really it doesn't matter in my opinion anyway. So.
Well, your opinion is the best one here. So,
Oh, right.
yes. But of course, we've also got Sloth done a really good job this season as well. He's had 21 starts this season. I think he had 3 DNFs in the end. He did have 2 fast up as well. But Sloth, a former Grand Prix winner. But of course, as McLaren, unfortunately, I don't want to be harsh because I was, but because he scored under 100 points, then I reckon that might have been one of the reasons why McLaren wasn't fighting for the constructors championship a bit more. Whoa, goodness me! And that certainly woke me up. Good gosh. But in terms of the constructors fight, I always say this, and of course we're going to probably mention it in Formula 2 and bronze as well. But I always get very enthralled in the constructors championship. Whilst I'm not sure the other drivers do. Do they care about the constructors, Alex?
Well, unfortunately for me and Marky in the Alpine, we did, which was quite interesting because we didn't do too well. But no, I think, like I said, I would like to have more of a championship focused on the constructors, to be honest, and do it that way. But like I said, overall, the accolades, the prizes, the trophy, all of the praise goes to the driver who is the fastest, who comes out on top, of course. So regardless of what the team is, so yeah, I think it's part and parcel of Formula One, isn't it? It's just the way Formula One goes. You get celebrated for being the champion. Well, obviously the team gets celebrated as well, but I think it is in real life a bit less so than the world champion. So as oh dear, Jay Hings is having a bit of a trouble there. But no, like I said, I would like I said, I'd have a more team focused championship, I suppose you could say, where it's literally about the constructors rather than the drivers. But no, in terms of overall, I think you have to give credit to the individual as well. So yeah, that's my position, I suppose you could say, on it.
I know, talking of the individual as well, Williams had 2. They had Percy, of course, at the start of the season, was not a champion, but they had Immortal, who was the 100% champion as well. And of course, we do not race 100% in the ALR Championship. In ALR Championship, so because talking to teamwork, the Team McLaren's also getting the blows. But Howard's, but with Immortal coming in as a 100% champion, would that have helped Immortal? Or would that have hindered Immortal? I don't really understand. How would that have worked, Alex?
Well, in terms of the 100% races, I think there's a lot of drivers who've actually said that they've improved just, again, their temperament, their focus on the races, their concentration throughout the races, just because of how long the 100% races actually are. And that does help you in the 50% races as well, because it's so much easier for you in those in the half distance races, as you can say. Oh dear. So yeah, I remember there's a few drivers who did say that it has helped them in the divisions that they race in as well. So I think Immortal there was primed and ready pretty much to go in and put in a good shift, and I think he has done a good shift as well this season. He's been incredible in most races. He's been unlucky as well, but he's been a great second driver, I suppose you could say. It's a bit harsh to call him a second driver because he's absolutely rapid, but a second driver in terms of the Williams team, that is.
It is, and it's astonishing to say that, isn't it? Like Immortal being the second driver at the beginning of the season, he was so consistent as well. He fell off halfway through the season, only scoring 10 points between the Spanish and Belgian Grand Prix before getting back on the horse, so to speak. I was going to say something else, but of course, yes, I think it's probably best not to say anything with the Williams team. Goodness me. But anyway, yes, but get back on the horse, so to speak, and of course from Italy onwards, he did put in a very good shift as well, with 3 pole position as well. And now we come to Qatar, Alex, and I must say the backdrop here is simply phenomenal. Then this is a new circuit, and we had 1 or 2 new circuits this season. What are you thinking about going to the new circuit? And well, more importantly, which one did you prefer, Qatar or Las Vegas?
I think I'll pick Qatar out of the 2. No, in terms of getting to grips with the new circuit, the only thing you can do really is practice it, which means putting some laps in there beforehand to familiarise yourself with the circuit and make sure you just get as quickly as you can round it as you're in the practice runs and that sort of thing. So I think there was a lot of excitement about Qatar being added, and Las Vegas as well, of course. But I think more excitement about Qatar I believe they did some sort of scanning of the track for the game, so that they could basically implement it into the game as well for the release of 2020, well, F123 that is. So I think it's it just felt brilliant, this circuit, and I really enjoy racing around it, even though I didn't do too well. I don't think so. Yeah, so I think it was a really good one for entertaining races as well.
It really was, and we did have another sprint event around here, and this is around the time where Percy was looking quite ominous in the World Championship. He was leading this way with Gurman, who up into second position. Let's talk about Gurman and Indigo, who were chasing Percy hard in this race. But I do feel that around Austria time, something changed for those two drivers then, Alex. What would you... oh, goodness me, there's a bit of a swapper going on there with Nigel. Unfortunately, Nigel having a miserable season. But what changed there for some drivers there? Because they just seemed to find something and was very much up there. Of course, Gurman had technical gremlins, awful technical gremlins. He had the most DNFs of the season, which he's probably quite chagrined about, because I do count disconnections as DNF as well, because I'm a harsh so-and-so. But what changed, do you think, then, about halfway through the season? Do you think that the drivers just found something?
I think, yeah, probably. It's just that I think obviously with the release of the new game, starting the season off straight, well, 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks after the games come out, there is some people who obviously just don't get to grips with the game as quickly as some others. So that is natural, obviously. Yeah, I think there's a lot who have adapted very quickly, and there's some who take a bit more time, and then I think that's where you see, as you've just mentioned, the likes of Indigo and German and that sort of thing coming through the field later on in the season, because they've started to adapt to how the game sort of works, I suppose you could say, or feels. Yeah, I think it's, in some cases it's down to that as well, but I think there's also other elements. Obviously, just sometimes the practice, or the lack of practice sometimes as well. But it just depends on where it goes. I have to say, back in Bahrain in the first part of this review, I was P6 in qualifying in Bahrain. And unfortunately, that was probably my highest qualifying of the season. So yeah, I seem to go backwards, put it that way, compared to everybody else from when the new game's released. But yeah, it's been interesting to see throughout the season how everybody's sort of adapted, and you can see that in the results as well.
And we're going to just talk about the three drivers that were promoted. Well, say three. One just went to MIA, but Nigel stuck it out for most of the season. And the silver champion had real troubles in this season. And I think this is Nigel's lowest scoring of his career in gold. And of course, he's the first ever ALR world champion there. And then Equals, his teammate, and we had two silver drivers in the same car. And I must admit, I was expecting Nigel to take off here, but it seemed to have been Equals, and wasn't quite surprised by Nigel's performance in this one.
Yeah, I think he had a difficult season. I'm speaking to him, of course, in the chats as well during races, that sort of thing. I think he was just struggling with, again, adapting to the game and adapting to the difference in terms of driving style that he had from the previous game as well. So we'll hopefully see some better performances from him next season as well. But yeah, I think it was just down to unluckiness, I suppose you could say, in some situations as well for Nigel. But it was fair play to him for soldiering through, and he did carry on for the full season despite all of that. But Equaz absolutely fantastic this season, again P6 there as well, which was a staple of his consistency throughout the season as well.
Yeah, and he earned that Grand Prix win in Canada superbly well, didn't he? Only disappointed by that is that Farford's on the commentary for that one, so unfortunately we can't have the perfect one, but never mind. I think that's why he wasn't on the season review, Alex. Anyway, let's soldier on, shall we? But also, a couple of other drivers I want to point out. AlphaTauri was... I don't like to use the word in the mud, but they were certainly struggling. Gamer started off really well, but then had to give up his seat then. But Toy Coin and Keza did a superb job. Keza in 17 races then, since he got that full-time drive, was absolutely, I don't think he missed a single race then. And had 4 podiums as well, Keza did. Toy Coin had a pole position as well. Of course, he was the king of pole positions in Formula 2. But both drivers, I think, have got a massive future next season. And I reckon I'm going to... No, I'm not going to say it. I was tempted to put my tempted to put a cheeky old dollar on there, maybe one of them getting in the top 3. But But I do think that those two drivers deserve a massive round of applause for getting AlphaTauri out of their really poor start to the season.
No, absolute credit to them. Again, down to the consistency of both of them as well. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily need to be raw pace. Just needs to be consistency, making sure you get in the points at each race as much as you can, each race as well. And Keza, I think he's got a record pretty much there of P4s pretty much in every race, almost every race it feels like. But again, since he jumped into the AlphaTauri seat, it's been incredible the consistency there from Keza as well, and Toincoin. He's well, I said brand new to ALR, of course, this season as well, but he's been incredible since he jumped into the other AlphaTauri seat. And again, it's been more down to the pace for Toincoin, because he's absolutely rapid as well. But he has been unlucky in some races. But I think again, that pairing in the AlphaTauri was absolutely incredible. And I think there's not much spoken about the AlphaTauri this season, I think, in terms of gold after their championship winning season last season. But no, it's been incredible from both those drivers, and the results show it.
Here. They were magnificent. I don't know. I'm sure they were 7th or 8th in the Constructors' Championship when both was confirmed as full-time drivers, and they got that team up into 4th position as well. Of course, they can't hit the heights of last season because they was absolutely redonkulous, weren't they? But good stuff indeed there for the AlphaTauri. The team that probably was disappointing this season was the Ferrari team. Coop in the soup then is Serious Mushroom always seems to give me nicknames. Coop did a great job in the Ferrari team there, of course, and Chappers, who also got parachuted in when Vesely made an abrupt exit as well. In the Ferrari team, but Ferrari be disappointed to be at the bottom of the pile for this season. Alex, then what do you reckon that Ferrari can change for next season? And I think the Coupe did a good job, and Chappers certainly. I'll be looking forward to what he can do in a full-time seat for next season, and driving from the beginning. Then, how different does it make to be like driving from the start of the season? Then, oh gosh, is German there and Indigo going spinning there? By the looks of, no, sorry, Malta going spinning there. What did you make of the two Ferraris?
Like I said, absolute fantastic drivers, fantastic people as well. Speaking to them as well, it's been like I said, they've always had that sort of determination to try and get the result as well, which is really just what you need to keep going as well. Obviously, each race week in week out. But I think they've had obviously with Wesley dropping out halfway through sort of thing, and Jappers jumping in, they've had that sort of turnaround phase where they're just trying to figure it all. Well, Chapper's trying to figure it out, I think. But in terms of how to get the results, and Coop's been plugging away all season. He's had some fantastic results as well. I think it was back. I remember Imola was I think one of his best results. I think he got almost. I don't think he got podium, but he was very close to a podium there. No, it's been like I said again, a difficult season for them as well. They've been on similar to sort of sometimes with my race. They've been sort of in and around myself, and just about outside the points, but only just sort of thing. So I'm hoping. I hope that they turn that around for next season, and that sort of those extra few seconds that they might be able to glean from somewhere in the race, then that will reward them in the season to come.
And another team I want to focus on a bit quick then is we're running down to the end of this review now, is the Haas team as well of Sam B. Green and Liam Ye. Sam, of course, got his Grand Prix win, first Grand Prix win in Japan, and of course Liam Ye has also been plugging away as well this season. What do you make of their season from both from the Haas point of view? I must admit it's a bit neither here nor there. There's been some really good outstanding form, but I'm quite surprised to see how low both drivers were in the championship. We've got a late safety car. We always seem to have a late safety car in Abu Dhabi, Alex. I'm getting 2021 vibes, but talk about the Haas first.
No, again, a very consistent lineup. I think both Liam and Sam have done a fantastic job in the Haas team. Gunther will be proud of you. But I think, like I said, again, it's just those tiny swings in the race that can change the result, and I think there's been sometimes where they've just missed out on, like I said, a large chunk of points here or there by some sort of incident, or just that the raw pace of the other drivers as well around them. So like I said, I don't think they've had put a foot wrong in this season, either of them, which has been incredible to see as audit. But I think they've been, like I said, absolute stars, and they're much better than Magnussen and Hulkenberg. So get them in, Gunther.
Not Hulkenberg. I love that man.
Oh,
Right, so we come
which one
down-
is it now?
I do like Hulkenberg.
They
I don't know
seem to
why.
change all the time.
I know. I've gone from Kevin Magnussen to Hulkenberg this season. I do have a soft spot for Nico Hulkenberg. I do want him to get a podium. And it was great to see Sam B. Green getting a podium as well this season. And, of course, a Grand Prix win. As we roll on to the final stage of this Grand Prix, Indigo had such a commanding race up until that final safety car, Alex. And if I was Indigo and a few other drivers actually happened to over the course of the event, then I'll be absolutely fuming at that then. But I think overall Indigo will be satisfied, but at the same time I do feel he could have and should have got some more wins. He only got one win in the end. I know that it was his first win of his career, but do you think if you're Indigo looking back, potentially I should have got more wins? But looking on the brighter side of things, I think he is going to be, his goodness me, we've got a bit of a, we've got a car park down there. But going into next season for Indigo, he could, the top three could become the big four. Do you reckon about that? What do you reckon about that?
I think, yeah, like I said, I believe he could have even got better results this season. I think he's really built on his performances in ALR since he's been in. And this current season, season 9 was his best so far, of course. But I think there is really promising signs, and I'm looking forward to it. That he might be there to challenge there for next season, which will be fantastic to see. Because you said big four, oh dear, you said big four, but or top four. I think there could be a top 8, or there could be a top 9, or something like that. There could be so many that could be up there as well. So like I said, it's going to get very close indeed.
Goodness me, Alex, you'll get me too excited on Christmas Eve, and my blood is pumping for next season already. And of course, that was the end of the season as well. Of course, hats off to AlphaTauri and Chazer and German then, and also to the Alpine team as well. But I think that a lot of drivers may look back at this season and think what could have been. And I do think Indigo's one of them. I do think German's another as well. Chazer, of course, been plugging away, and I think Marquis, one of the most unluckiest drivers on the grid then. And I think Knowlesy in the final stage of that season as well. You did an absolutely supreme job of climbing up the order. With those final, I think you got 2 6 positions at the end there in Vegas and Abu Dhabi. A great end to the season then here in Gold then. But as we come down to the end of the Gold season review, thank you very much then to Alex, who's been talking us through the trials and tribulations of the drivers who's been taking part in the Gold Championship. Thank you very much to Farfed. Farfed's not had an easy time this season, has he? Sometimes drivers have felt some decisions have gone against him and all that kind of stuff. But that's the problem with being the steward now. Final classification in the championship then, Percy won the world championship back in Mexico, I believe. 121 points in front of Troy, who finished second there, with Boxham and Nightmare Roos in third then, and Troy then just about snuck through then. Hats off to Kessler for fourth position, and Mortal in fifth. Equals in brilliant season then. Indigo seventh, and the 2 Alfa Romeo said 8th and 9th position, be satisfied with that. And then we had an almighty scrap, didn't we, between Green, Sloth, Toy Coin, Liam. Yeah, it was just like last season, but of course they were scrapping for 6th, 7th and 8th. And the Constructor Championship as well, looking very solid indeed for the Williams team. Williams had 7 wins between them, then 8 pole positions as well, and podiums about 23, I think. They're going to see I lost count halfway through that. That's absolutely supreme stuff. Of course, coming up next is the awards, but before that, of course, got a special message from BoxBox as well. Thank you very much. Have a good Christmas. See you tomorrow.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.